Number 10. China Airlines, Flight 006. On February 19, 1985, during a late-night flight from Taipei to Los Angeles, the Boeing 747 SP, with 251 passengers, lost power in one engine. The pilots, later found to be well past exhaustion from round-the-clock flying duties, made a series of minor mistakes. The plane rolled over and plunged 30,000 feet, experiencing high speed and G-forces approaching 5 Gs before the captain was able to recover from the rapid dive and then to divert to San Francisco International Airport with no fatalities. The aircraft was significantly damaged by the aerodynamic forces. Number 9. British Airways Flight 9. On June 24, 1982, the route from London Heathrow to Auckland was flown by the City of Edinburgh, a Boeing 747. The aircraft flew into a cloud of volcanic ash thrown up by the eruption of Mount Galunggung, an Indonesian volcano. The ash shut down all 4 engines and the oxygen supply stopped working properly. Without engine thrust, a 747-200 can glide forward 1,500 kilometers for every kilometer it drops. The flight crew quickly determined that the aircraft was capable of gliding for 23 minutes and covering 91 nautical miles from its flight level of 37,000 feet. The aircraft was able to glide far enough to exit the ash cloud, and all engines were restarted, although one failed again soon after. The aircraft landed safely in Jakarta. All 263 people on board survived. Number 8. DHL Airbus A300B4. On November 22, 2003, shortly after takeoff from Baghdad, Iraq, an Airbus A300 cargo plane, operated by DHL, was hit by a surface-to-air missile. The missile hit the left wing, destroyed an engine, and irreparably damaged all hydraulic systems. The 3-man crew made an injury-free landing of the crippled aircraft using differential engine thrust as the only pilot input. Captain Janot got the idea to use differential throttles after attending a seminar given by Captain Alfred C. Haynes, the pilot of United Airlines Flight 232, who performed an amazing emergency landing despite the loss of almost all flight controls. You'll hear about him very soon. Number 7. American Airlines Flight 96. On June 12, 1972, a DC-10 suffered explosive decompression when the aircraft's rear cargo door blew off while flying over Windsor, Ontario. Rapid decompression crumpled part of the cabin, damaged hydraulic controls, cut controls to the top engine, and caused the rudder to stick at far right. In spite of the partial restriction of the controls, the pilots were able to make a safe landing at Detroit Metropolitan Wayne County Airport with no major injuries. The cause of the accident was a faulty locking mechanism on the cargo bay door. Number 6. Air Canada Flight 143. On July 23, 1983, a Boeing 767 jet ran out of fuel at an altitude of 41,000 feet, or 12,000 meters, about halfway through its flight, originating in Montreal to Edmonton. The captain was an experienced glider pilot, so he was familiar with flying techniques almost never used by commercial pilots. The crew managed to glide the plane safely to a former Royal Canadian Air Force base in Gimli, Manitoba. All 69 people on board survived. The investigation later revealed failure when the fuel loading had been miscalculated due to a misunderstanding of the recently adopted metric system, which had replaced the imperial system. Number 5. United Airlines Flight 811. On February 24, 1989, a cargo door failed on the Boeing 747 bound for New Zealand after its stopover at Honolulu International Airport in Hawaii. It caused explosive decompression, which blew out several rows of seats, resulting in the deaths of 9 passengers. The crew lost some flight controls and fire started in engines 3 and 4. The pilots initially believed a bomb went off inside the airplane, as this accident happened just 10 weeks after Pan Am Flight 103 was blown up over Lockerbie, Scotland. To reach an altitude where the air was breathable, they began an emergency descent, while also performing a 180-degree left turn to fly back to Honolulu. With only partial flaps, they landed successfully with 346 survivors. Number 4. Aloha Airlines Flight 243. On April 28, 1988, the Boeing 737 bound for Honolulu suffered serious structural damage when the top portion of the passenger cabin literally ripped off. The door to the cockpit was gone so the captain could look behind him and see blue sky. The pilots brought the heavily damaged craft down safely, despite not knowing whether the front landing gear had deployed correctly. 58-year-old flight attendant Clarabelle Lansing was the only fatality. She was swept overboard while standing near the fifth row seats. Her body was never found. She was a veteran flight attendant of 37 years at the time of the accident. Number 3. Philippine Airlines Flight 434. On December 11, 1994, a Boeing 747 was flying on the second leg of the route from Cebu to Tokyo when a bomb exploded, killing one passenger and damaging vital control systems. Authorities later discovered that a passenger on the aircraft's leg was Ramzi Youssef. After the plane was airborne, he went into the lavatory with his DOP kit in hand and took off his shoes to get out the batteries, wiring, and spark source hidden in the heel. It was below a level where metal detectors in use at the time could detect anything. Youssef removed an altered Casio digital watch from his wrist to be used as a timer, unpacked the remaining materials from his DOP kit, and assembled his bomb. It was part of the unsuccessful Bojinka terrorist attacks. 57-year-old Captain Eduardo Reyes, an experienced veteran pilot, was able to land the aircraft, saving the plane and 292 people. Number 2. United Airlines Flight 232. On July 19, 1989, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10 suffered catastrophic failure of its tail-mounted engine, which led to the loss of almost all flight controls. 111 people died in this accident, but 185 survived due to relatively controlled manner of the crash and the early notification of emergency services. Despite the deaths, the accident is considered a prime example of successful crew resource management due to the manner in which the flight crew handled the emergency and the high number of survivors, considering that the airplane was landed without conventional control. After the accident, DC-10s were modified with hydraulic fuses to prevent catastrophic loss of hydraulic fluid. The captain, Alfred C. Haynes, and the other crew members have inspired movies, novels, and songs. Number 1. U.S. Airways Flight 1549. On January 15, 2009, an Airbus A320 collided with a flock of geese shortly after takeoff from LaGuardia Airport in New York City. Multiple bird strikes caused both engines to fail. With both engines out, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger searched for a safe landing spot, but was unable to return to LaGuardia or reach an airfield in New Jersey. Instead, he aimed for the Hudson River. He landed the plane down successfully, touching down with so much skill the Airbus held together and no one was seriously injured. All 155 on board were pulled to safety as the plane slowly sank. The entire crew of Flight 1549 was awarded the Master's Medal of the Guild of Air Pilots and Air Navigators. National Transportation Safety Board member Kitty Higgins described the feat as the most successful ditching in aviation history. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you like it. Make sure to subscribe for more Top 10 videos.